I started to write to plenty of laboratories. I had absolutely no answers. And once, after thousands of letters and mails, and I had one responded to me. And I drove to the northern of Europe, and I took 30 beagles.
Hello, welcome to the One Precious Life podcast. Today we meet Virginia Mouseler, who started as a French philosopher before founding The Wit, which tracks global TV and digital content trends, and also devotes her time to rescuing beagle dogs that have been used for scientific research in laboratories. Hello, Virginia.
Hello, Vasha.
So let's start with the big question. What does it mean to you to live a one precious life?
I was very impressed by your title, actually, because in a way, it's made me realize that I had one precious life. And to me, one precious life is having an ideal. Really, the ideal, it's philosophically a concept that drives you.
Yes. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yes.
And makes you feel excited when you wake up in the morning. You're like,
Yes.
That's really fascinating, actually, just to encapsulate that so well. I hadn't thought about that, actually, but just that you need something to get you out of bed in the morning. It's very powerful. We met through work in 2004. What were you doing at that point?
2004, I was in the early days of my companies, the WIT, World Information Tracking, which is an observatory of all the new ideas, new concepts in television and now on any platform. We were observing all the new TV shows around the world, or at least in 100 markets, looking for creativity, looking for new ideas, looking for what people watch, what we watched, which was not always the same programs.
It's grown, hasn't it? Since I first met you, that business, it's changed. I mean, the whole landscape's really changed, hasn't it?
Yes, because in the beginning I was running it alone with my partner, Bertrand, and we were doing everything, watching all the shows, recording them, writing, and now we're 15 people in the company, and we had to have IT people, which was the great move and maybe the most difficult for us. In the beginning, we started that in France. We had one or two subscribers. It became a huge database, and now we have 80% of our subscribers are out of France and Switzerland, where we are based now.
And if your life was a book, what would the title of this current chapter be?
How television is the most intimate person in my life. I mean, I started the WIT because I was interested in that mirror that is television, and I always saw that as a mirror of our society. And when I was observing all the new shows from other countries, other markets, I was discovering another way of life, another way of thinking. I was driven by curiosity. Of course, my job was to detect new ideas, new formats, new TV shows. But I was really interested in on how people talk to each other in another country, what was the humor, what was making people laugh in another country. And I was really always discovering new cultures, as television was a mirror of a culture, of pop culture. And also what I loved was to see the colors of a country. The way that the color of the shows in Italy, the color of the shows in Denmark, and why people were watching a very sunny show as a Survivor in Sweden in the middle of December. And I understood that when on a Saturday night I was in a hotel in Sweden, I understood why you were waiting for Survivor, like the sun of your day or your week or your month. I realized that television was the most intimate object and a living object in everybody's home, even of lonely people. They were watching TV to have a connection with the world outside. It was, and sometimes, people, intellectual people or even advertisers thought that TV content was too not intellectual enough, not inspiring enough. And to me, no, I thought that pop, popular culture, popular TV was worth companion to a lot of people for different reasons, and that's why I loved television, and that I was, and I still love television.
Yeah, that's great. And it really comes across. It's so fascinating. I've found that in my work as well, working with
Really?
so many different cultures. And I love the fact that humour can be so different. And I'll do presentations in different countries, and I'll tell a joke or show a clip that's got a certain type of resonance, and sometimes the whole room will be laughing, and the next time I'll do it to a different group and they'll all just be looking at me like, what is this?
Yes.
It's very fascinating, and how things can culturally translate or not, because humour can bring us together, but equally it's sometimes very cultural.
Yes.
And you grew up in Paris. Were your family entrepreneurial or creative minded?
Yes, I grew up in Paris, and my father and my mother were working together. They created a company. It was a students' exchange program. So I
Right.
was, and also, so they were working a lot. And sometimes I say that I was actually raised and educated by television.
I guess you met lots of international students, and that exposed you to lots of different cultures as well at an early age.
Yes, and then they helped me record VHS when we started the WIT. I had my network was made of people that I had met before through this childhood, and I asked them to record the TV shows in their own countries on VHS and then send them to me by post.
Wow, so you had that network
Which,
already.
of course, yes. So, but they were very varied. They were, only friends. They were not professional at all. They were friends, and that's also why I loved this unprofessional network, because precisely they didn't put any professional filter.
Yeah.
And they just sent what they liked, which was really, the person in Mexico loved telenovela, and she watched the telenovela all day, and so she was the best correspondent, the best, witness that I could find, because she was not giving any professional filter or any, analytic filter, and we could do that ourselves.
She spoke completely as a viewer, so you had your own...
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, you had your own focus group. And was there anyone growing up who helped shape your career or where you were going to go next?
Actually, not really, because my parents, they were interested in what they were doing, and they thought, everybody had to find their way. And in the beginning, I wanted to be, I studied philosophy, so I wanted to be a Latin and philosophy teacher. So this was, they didn't really approve of it, but so I studied philosophy. Then I studied, then my parents didn't understand where I could go with that. So to make them happy, I switched to a major business school in France. And that's where I met my partner, so almost 40 years ago. And
Wow.
and he is the one who really supported me, and we did everything together over the past 40 years.
What a wonderful story that you met him. And I remember you saying you didn't love business. You felt quite pressured by your parents to do it. Your love really was philosophy and theology.
Yes. Actually, it was more than theology. It was the power of the mind to prove the existence of what you call God. So I did my big research about it, a big thesis about, is human mind able to rationally prove the existence or no or not of God? And actually, this is called in philosophy the ontological argument. If you're interested, go to the ontological argument. It's really, it has no answer, it's really drives you crazy because it's there are the pros and the cons, but it's absolutely fascinating because it's you cover all the aspects of metaphysics, and it's fascinating, but it doesn't give you an answer, just of the power and the limit of the human brain or the human rationality. I was fascinated by that, by logics, rationality, and philosophy. But my dad always tell me, but what are you going to do with that?
And so you started the Wit. I remember you mentioned it was a newsletter, really, wasn't it?
In the beginning, I was trying to be a psychoanalyst and a philosophy teacher. And my partner started to write a little newsletter in the kitchen about all the new ideas around the world in the world of entertainment. But it could be TV was just a part of it. It was also radio, publishing, press, fashion. And then he asked me, could we have some TV shows recorded? And that's why I called my network, Yeah. And that's what we started together. But in the beginning, it was just a newsletter to have fun and to dig some creative ideas. And then one day, TF1 in France called us and said, "Oh, there are plenty of good ideas. Could you focus on television for a couple of topics?" And that's how we started.
And TF1 are the big commercial broadcaster, a big
Yes,
commercial
that's right.
channel in France, and so on the back of your TF1, you then got other people then started getting in touch, I imagine.
Yes, because we were not business minded at all. We were just interested in creativity and ideas, and so it's we had to catch up with with the business, and to grow.
But I love that because, in a way, so many people I speak to say the same thing. They started doing something and then it grew into something else, and they didn't necessarily start off at that point. But, someone got interested and then they saw the opportunity and thought, well, if one person's interested, other people will be too, and that you enabled that to grow. So, Virginia, with the Wit, one thing I've always found very fascinating is you do big presentations all around the world. It's called the Fresh TV presentation, and you do these amazing big presentations to big audiences of people who work in international television on international television trends. Tell us about that.
Yes, it was not my idea. At the Wit where we work like monks. It's really we're focus on the database and all the new ideas. And once somebody called me. He was organizing a little market on television, and he asked me, "You watch so many TV shows. Why don't you pick a couple of them new shows to present to an international audience?" And so it was at the time of VHS. So it was I chose a dozen of shows that I found interesting for to adapt or to get inspired from, and it was in a very, very small room. And I took my VHS. I said, "Oh, look, this comes from Finland, and it's a game show about blah blah blah." And somebody from the biggest international market, which is called MIPCOM, that we attend, all the industry attends, asked me, "Oh, why don't you come and do that for us?" So I was very impressed, very shy, because it's not my. I'm not used to speak in front of a large audience. So I prepared very, seriously, like a very serious student. And with my VHS, and then I was in a very small room, and the room was crowded. Couldn't believe it, but I didn't look at the people who are there because I have to be concentrated. And one of my friends told me later, the first time I couldn't believe it. I saw you were just a little student reading your files and being very precise. And we discovered, 20 new shows that we had never heard about from all over the world. And she said, I wondered, how does she do that? So I was, it was not a miracle to me because we were reading all the TV guides in hard copy. It was not the internet at the time. I was just reading the TV guides every day. Yeah. I was buying them from different newsstand in Paris. I knew that in that part of Paris I had the Portuguese TV guide. In that other part of Paris I had the German ones. So it was really the beginning of the wit. And we started this conference, and then this MIPCOM organization asked me to go to a bigger room, then a bigger room, and themselves that didn't believe what was happening. And now I'm speaking in front of 2,000 people in the in the room, in the theater where they gave the Palme d'Or at the Festival de Cannes. So I can't believe it, but I still can't believe it. So, and I still want to be the serious little students that prepares, and not somebody who thinks she is on a big stage. And so I want to give information to people, and I choose very different kind of shows in the hope that people will discover something. It can be a concept, even now, if with the internet things are getting quicker and quicker. So I want to be humble. I know that people that maybe have heard of of the shows that I will present, but at least find a nugget that will give the good ideas, a good idea to a producer, and who will make it bigger and buy it.
Which bit do you enjoy the most about the wit? Because as you say, it started you and Bertrand at your kitchen table, and it's grown and grown. Which are the bits that are your favourite bits of what you do now? Oh,
so now really I still enjoy a lot watching television. I treat myself with guilty pleasures, sometimes I'm watching things and I'm saying, I can't watch one more episode or one more, of this series. It's, but I like it. I must admit, I like it. And, but really now the greatest pleasure is to meet my friends, the friends I met through this adventure. And I can't believe that it would stop if I stop the wit one day. I know that those friendships will not stop. And this is the most precious for me in my life.
You realise it's about people, don't you? It's about those people and everything else. Yeah. And so moving from people to dogs. So in 2020, apart from the global pandemic, something really exciting happened, and you set up your beagle home. So for listeners who are not familiar with beagles, they're a breed of dog. I always give the example of Snoopy from Peanuts or Gromit from Wallace and Gromit. So how did that start?
Actually, when I was a child, I was dreaming of having a dog, and my mom was also dreaming of that. But my father, pretending he had an allergy because he wanted everything to be so clean at home, so he didn't want us to have a dog. So the solution I had an imaginary friend. I was talking to him, and so it was, my ideal dog. So I grew up with him, and when I was around 25 or 30 years old, I watched a movie, an American movie. The title was, it was with Harrison Ford. It was all about Henry, and he's offered a dog, and I realized it was the dog of my dream. It was my imaginary friend. And somebody told me, but it's a beagle. Had never heard of this breed. I went to a breeder and I adopted one. And I was madly in love of this dog. Then when he died, I had two at the same breeder because I knew they were happier when they were together. And once I read an article that was explaining that this breed, the beagles, are used for animal testing. The world collapsed for me. Because I thought, how can those dogs that are so affectionate, so friendly, so confident, you're everything for them when you have that kind of dog. You're their world. How can you use them as objects and do all these operation testing and kill them in the end? Really, I couldn't understand that. It was not understandable. It was inconceivable. So I investigated why them, what happens to them, where are they used, and I discovered a hidden world. Because of course, laboratories are quite discreet about it. They do not want people to know, because some animal defense people they're totally revolted by that, and they sometimes aggressive. And so I thought the next beagles I will try to take them from laboratories to give them a second life, a good life. And actually, I couldn't do that because I was too busy with the wit. And year after year, I was dreaming. I've been dreaming about that for like 15 years. And at some points, I said, stop, I have to do it. Even if I was sick, and I'm still working at the wit, I decided to start. And I started to write to plenty of laboratories. I had absolutely no answers. And once, after thousands of letters and mails, and I had one responded to me. And I drove to the northern of Europe, and I took 30 beagles.
Wow.
And then I realized I needed more than my country house. I needed more. I had parks. And so I bought a house that I labeled the House of the Freed Beagles. It's in Burgundy, in France, where I can have up to 25 beagles at one time. It's quite difficult to convince the laboratories to give them to you. First, because usually they have to kill them to analyze their organs, to understand how the molecules affected one organ or another. So very few of them can go out alive. But now it has really became my second life, like the one of the beagles. And so I have rescued now almost 500 in 5 years. And I found adopters for them. I even have two or three in London at the moment.
At the beginning, you were using your own money to finance it. Your profits from the wit, I suppose. So
Yes.
That was the profits were then setting this up. And I remember you were going to China a bit as well. You had some from China.
Actually, it was my first mission. It was even before I had the house. When I was traveling to Los Angeles for the wit, I noticed that there was a charity that was doing that, but there were more activists, so they were quite politically involved to have, the laws changed. So I contacted them, and they invited me to talk with them. And so they were very enthusiastic about my idea. And then they told me, and what are you doing in the next days? And I told them, I'm going to China for the wit, for television. And they told me, we can't believe it. Can you help us? We have 35 beagles to bring back from China to Los Angeles because we have families for them, but we can't have a visa.
Oh, I see.
Can you take them? And I said, I thought about it for maybe 3 seconds and a half. And I said, yes, I'm going to do that for you. I had no idea how to do it. I said, I will manage. So it was a very, very adventurous mission. And I managed to bring. For 2 years, I traveled from Paris to Beijing, and then for Beijing to LA with 10 beagles at a time, and I did that for 4 times.
And so these beagles would be euthanized
Yes,
normally,
yes,
and
normally.
but you take them at the end. So it's finding the scientific testing places who will let you have the beagles, and then you give them a home because they don't know what it's like to be a dog in a home
No,
with
exactly. Actually, they
anything.
were breeded in breeding facilities. They never see specialized grass or anything natural. They are subject to testing. They shouldn't have been in contact with any parasite, microbe, or that could affect the testing.
Yeah,
So they were born, they live like in a hospital, a very clean hospital from day one, their career in the laboratory, and then they're euthanized to analyze their organism. So, and apparently scientists say, I know that there are arguments against that, but I'm not a scientist, so I can just, tell you what I heard and what my investigation learned me. They said that at the moment, beagles are used just before a medicine goes on the market and
right.
is tested on humans. So it's either tested on monkeys or dogs or beagles. It's a very, very small part of the animals that are tested. The major part, maybe 99%, it's rodents. And
Right.
then there is a very small part, it's called the non-clinical or preclinical tests. It's to test the doses of the medicines. For instance, if you have cancer, kidney cancer, you have to know at the doses of the medicines which would heal your kidney, but wouldn't hurt your liver, for instance,
Yeah.
so that you're not healed in a part and killed with another part. So that's why they need an organism that is entire to see how the medicine goes through the blood and how they affect the organs. But actually, there are a lot of people who say this is useless. A beagle is not that like a human, so it's only it's useless. It doesn't work. It's only cruelty. And there are a lot of in England, in particular, a lot of activists that fight against that. I didn't choose to fight because I knew that what I wanted is to save as many beagles as I could. And if I fight, the laboratories will never give me beagles.
Yeah. So you have to be quite careful how you handle your relationships with the
Absolutely.
laboratories. Yeah.
Yes. And what I
So,
try to also to my ambition was also to let people know, because a lot of people discover, thanks to our social network videos, that it still exists. They thought that it
yeah.
was only about rodents, mice, but a lot of people say we ignored that dogs were used, and they're shocked. But then I try to educate them, tell them what the scientists say. I don't say I approve of it. I don't say, of course not. I would love that not any animal would be tested. But some people are not aware of that. I want also to give them, the reason that the scientists do that. I don't know if it's valuable. I tell you what one part say, what the other side says. Then you have to do your choice. If when you want to be vegan because you don't want to hurt an animal, it's your choice to do it. When you have an illness, will you accept not to take a treatment? It's really to me, it's a philosophical problem, and
Yeah.
oddly enough, I gave up philosophy with television, but now with the beagles, I come back to philosophy. And my question is it moral to kill another species to save your own species? Of
Yeah,
course,
it's
it's.
very.
I think you don't have a clear answer about that, but and to me, the ambition is to give a good life to as many beagles as possible, and not to solve the problem of animal testing, because I know it's beyond my my power.
And I've seen some of your videos that you've put on social media of you. Well, I remember the ones from China originally when you were actually physically going and getting the beagles and putting them in cages and getting them to the airports and dealing with all that side. And then, of course, these lovely videos of you with the beagles in the garden on the lawn, and you open the cages and you've got all the other beagles running around saying hello, hello. Well, they're not saying hello because they're beagles, but they're, in dog language, they're saying hello to. And there will always be one that they just they can't come out of the cage because they don't know what it is to get out of the cage and get onto the grass. And it's like those showing you getting them out and then kind of teaching them how to be dogs, really, just to be happy dogs.
It's always I've done this almost 500 times, and every time it's the same emotion, because you open the cage where they traveled,
Yeah.
and actually they never walked on grass. And it's incredible that they're a bit afraid. Then that one step, second step, and sometimes it's very slow. Sometimes they're so afraid they don't want to go out of the cage, because in a way the cage is the small space where they feel protected. And then I personally have adopted two, and they welcome them. And as you said, they say hello, because actually, with my imaginary beagle friend, I talked, so now I talk to the real ones, and I can hear them say, hello, come on, come and play with us. And they can't play. They don't know how to play. They're afraid of human beings. They're afraid of everything. They're afraid of any noise. The best comparison I can do, it's, aliens that come on Earth and discover Earth. So it's really funny, because then they discover everything. They're curious of everything. Once in a while, one or two are so afraid that they hide, and they don't want to leave, a corner of the room, and they're totally terrified. And this is my, my job is not to educate them. My job is not to teach them to be clean or educated or to walk on a lead. It's just to make them relaxed and happy. So they walk they invade the house. It's really the beagle's house. It's not I'm living in their house, and I survive in their house. But they have, my goal is to open them, to give them a new life, to give them the real life. So it's sometimes it's difficult, because sometimes they don't know how to be happy.
You've got people who will then come and adopt them.
Yes, actually, we even have a waiting list, because as we like television and videos, we do a daily soap, the Beagles of Burgundy's daily soap. So every day, post on the social networks a video of telling the life in the beagle's house. And very often we focus on the hero, for instance, the one who is the most extravagant, or the one who is the most difficult, the shyest one, the ones who gives us a tough time to make him happy. And so it's really a daily soap, and the people get hooked to that, and they ask us, oh, we didn't see him for a couple of days, where is he? And then we also record the adoption process. So people have to fill in an application form to also to send for a job a motivation letter, why they want a beagle, why they want a beagle from a laboratory, what is their way of life, are they home, are they where will the dog sleep, so. And then we do a video conference, to interview them for 30 minutes or 1 hour, really to feel why they want a dog. And we don't want people who want beagles because it's cute or because they want to go hunting. We want people who want to make a dog happy and make him forget his previous
Yeah.
life. And then
Yeah.
they come when we have dogs that are ready to go. We invite them in the house. They can sleep overnight with their dogs for free, of course. They don't pay anything. And we just ask them to bring us something to eat together, to share from their region. And then they on the next day they go and they go with the dog, and they have to give us news every week and every month. So.
And have you had some happy stories? I think I've seen some on social media.
Oh yes, every adopter is passionate about his dog, and
Yeah.
all the dogs. Those dogs. They are when they arrive, I give them names because they were numbers before. So I'm the one who treats them as individuals, but still they're in the group. So when
Yeah.
they go to their own family, it's the first time they're the only one, or with another dog, which is very good to have another dog, because they can learn how to be a real dog with the other dog,
Yeah.
and they imitate the other dog to to become a real dog. And actually it's the first time they're considered as an individual, so they're attached to their new owner, and it's they love each other. It's incredible. And they give me every day, I receive at least a dozen of videos or pictures of the latest adventure of the dog. Today I received one. He was in a rucksack visiting a museum, and the dog was
Oh.
watching. Oh, so it was so funny. It's and it's a pleasure, really. Every day I have good news, and we gather them once per year in the summer to do a big Beagles of Burgundy Bob's party. And there are approximately 250 humans and 150 beagles. And they're so happy to share their experiences, and they become friends, and they go on holidays to each other places. It's, I couldn't imagine that when I started. It was not for that, but in the end, it becomes human. It's become
Yeah.
a human community that are all reunited by the love of their dog, who should be dead today. I mean, I always tell them, consider this dog as a miracle, because this dog was born to be dead. It was not born
Yeah.
to be, they're miracles.
And now you aren't just funding it yourself. Are you doing some fundraising so that you can save more beagles? Is that the idea?
Yes, actually, it's we a lot of people who watch the videos. They give, they send donations.
Yeah.
Basically, I found myself, everything by 50 or 60%. But now, because we have a lot of veterinary expenses.
Yeah.
It's not the dog food. It's not so expensive, but it's and also I'm taking care of them myself. And sometimes the wit plus the beagles, it's quite tense. But I don't see what I could give up. I can't. I love both.
With the social media side of things, that's actually been quite successful, because you've got new followers, you've got new people wanting to adopt beagles, and also hopefully making contributions as well. I think you told me the other day you were walking down the road and people recognised you. You were like the beagle lady.
Sometimes, it's quite funny, because I don't expect that. But when I'm walking with a beagle in the street, sometimes, oh, you're the one who saves laboratory beagles. I follow you every day. And they know the names of the little heroes, more than me. It's unbelievable. Some people, it's like, in a way, when I started television, I thought it was the most intimate friend, you have when you're alone. Now, it's kind of, it's my partner Bertrand is doing the text every day, the stories, because he writes a big text every day, like a story to explain what happens in the video. It's a huge work, but actually he does it 365 days per year. And I said, oh, sometimes you can take one day off. He said, I can't, because the people at 8:30 in the morning, they said, oh, I didn't see your video. What happened? So he said, I owe that to them, So I don't know
Yeah.
how all this will end.
Could you have some more beagle homes, or would that be too much?
No, actually, it's I would love to to open other houses,
Yeah.
but I mean I think this is the biggest expense to run
Yeah.
the house. At the
Yeah.
moment, I can have, yes, 25 is too much, but it's okay. I can deal with that. If I had another house and another one who could take care of the beagles in another country, that would be great. However, the most difficult is to convince the laboratories. You really have to build relationship where they rely on you, they trust you not to say anything of where they come from and what product use the beagles, because of course it's all commercial strategies, and you absolutely. So I'm totally confidential, because for
Yeah.
the beagles, I do that for the beagles, but it's quite difficult to convince them.
What's been the hardest lesson on this whole journey? Is that's been? Is there anything? Has there ever been a time where you've thought this is too hard? I don't want to do this.
Yes, sometimes. Oh, no, in the beginning, first 2 years, I had beagles that were really tough, because they were coming from a place that was treating them really in a very, I think, very, very bad way. It was not in Europe, so that I brought them from far away, and then I mean you were watching. You were looking at a dog, he was running away. There was one, I couldn't touch her for 8 months. I couldn't cuddle her. I couldn't, And I thought, but I have no, background in dog education or whatever. It was just my goodwill, And then, and it's really depressing when you see dogs. You want them to be happy, but they look at you like the most horrific being that they could imagine. So, and then really you feel devastated. And I thought maybe I was not made to do that. It was too ambitious, and I will. But then, in the end, I met wonderful people as adopters. And for this dog, the woman who adopted her, she's made her as happy as this dog can be, and it's a real passion. And honestly, she's doing much better than I do. But I met wonderful people who dedicated their lives to make the dogs happy, and I couldn't expect that. When I started, I didn't know that such people existed.
Did you have to do any training or anything around, do what you've just talked about, encouraging the beagles out of those?
Yes.
Shells?
Yes, I did some trainings. I had to have a little certificate to be allowed to rescue dogs and to know basic things about it. But then I learned a lot with behaviorists, and I'm still learning a lot. Every dog of the 500, they are different from one another. So,
Yes.
And 2 out of 10 are more difficult. So I have to adapt. Once I remember, I didn't do that on purpose, but one of them that I couldn't touch, she came to me while I was in my bath tube.
In the bathtub, she came.
Yes, in the bathtub.
She came and put her nose in the bathtub.
And I couldn't believe it. I could never. Every time I was looking at her, she was running away. So, and once I was in my bathtub, and she came, and she looked at me really close to my. So I turned it into a method of education, and I understood that she was not afraid when I was in my box.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
But when I was
Yeah.
standing on my 2 feet, she was afraid. So months after months, she got better and better. And
Going back to 2020 when you first started, obviously we had the global pandemic and it was a transformative time for so many people, but you also had an unexpected health diagnosis. Tell us about that.
yes, I started this beagle house in early in January 2020, and 6 months later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And in a way, now I think, I was fighting animal testing, and really I was violently, against, laboratories, and I thought it was. And then 6 months after, I had to choose to have a treatment, which means at the same time I was getting the benefits of research. And at the same time, I was fighting, in a way, against research. So I thought it was not consistent. So, of course, I was, I had the chemo and all the things that
Yes,
for that.
I went through it after
Yes,
you. It was quite
after me.
We
Yes.
we met and I'd just gone through it, and we had very similar
Exactly,
cases.
exactly the same.
Yeah,
Yes.
chemotherapy,
And so that's why,
radiotherapy.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you know it perfectly. There was a pandemic at the same time, so actually, I was in the hospital. I was going to and there was no social life outside. But this made me investigate into animal testing. So that's why I learned everything about it. I interviewed scientists that accept. I told them, I want to rescue beagles. At the same time, I have a treatment. So I know that research is useful, but why are some people against it so violently? Do they have valuable information? And in the end, why do you have this archaic methods? Because it's archaic to make an animal suffer for research for humans. And also, by the way, they also test on animals for veterinary reasons also. So, but, and in the end, I can't decide if it's worth or not, if it's really necessary. But at the moment, I know that AI can't solve scientific problems as well as a real organism. Still, I can decide. So I think I respect both, sides. And I know that improvement should be done, but it needs really the science to work faster.
Yeah.
And we have to find a leverage, to press them to do it. And I think the attitude of our society towards animals should make things improve quicker than it is at the moment. But I think the real answer is philosophical. It's, can we accept to sacrifice another species to save our species? I think this is, to me, but maybe it's because because I'm passionate about philosophy, but to me it's the real reason that should stop animal testing.
Yeah, I had never thought about it like that actually before, but it's a very good way of explaining it. Like you having both of us gone through chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and then having to take medication, and that medication will have been tested at some point. I mean, I had never thought about that until now. It's like that that's been through this testing process, and you assume it's tested on, some sort of organism in a lab. But what that means is, it's a very different thing.
Actually,
and
now it's regulated. If you can avoid doing this on an animal, it's not, you're not allowed to do it. At least in Europe, because it's in Europe that the regulations are the most developed. But if research is forbidden in Europe, for instance, or research on animals gets impossible to do in Europe. The problem is everything will be sent in China, and in China there is no animal defense. So to
Right.
me, I think it's better to face the problem where it is in our territories, to help science to to improve quicker, rather than get blind and then, oh, it doesn't exist in our territory and everything's done in China, where it will be worse, because there are no regulations against for animal well-being or animal defense.
Were there any big changes that you made to your life after both the pandemic and the breast cancer treatment? Did you come through it at the end and think you'd like to do things differently in life, or do?
Yes, of course, but I didn't manage to. I mean, daily life absorbs you so quickly that actually, well, there is something. I wanted to get more and more involved in this reflection on beagles and to do, but actually I wanted to work a bit less, and actually I work more because because I wanted to live life at the fullest. And living life at the fullest, to me, is to be hyperactive. So I would love to rest more and to enjoy, time. But actually, with the beagles, the wits, and my third passion, which is flying in a plane, I want to
Yes.
do the three at the fullest. So unfortunately, I don't enjoy the peace of life as much as I would like to.
And speaking of that, is there a support system that you have in terms of supporting your emotional, physical, mental well-being?
Yes, it's yoga, definitely. I try, actually, yes, it's when after the treatment, as you know, we feel totally destroyed. I mean, your body is destroyed,
Yeah.
and the illness is destroyed, but your body is weakened, and so I used to practice yoga, but not so regularly, and actually I started to rebuild myself mentally and physically with Iyengar yoga. And I know that when I don't practice, I have I feel unwell. My body needs it now. And now, after the illness, it was the perfect support for me. And I really would encourage anybody to do this type of yoga and to and now when I'm a bit despaired because I have too much work, I think I don't have time to practice yoga, and I go and practice, and I feel much better after, and much more energy and much more time, because sometimes I totally stressed and I have to do everything in one time, and then I know, I have a lot of difficulties to handle, that kind of organization. But when I do yoga, after yoga, I feel have plenty of time. I feel I don't understand why I was stressing out, freaking out 1 hour before. So it's really miraculous.
It's like a reset for you,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
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 It's so interesting, the people I talk to, and I see it myself, within myself, we all have different types of exercise that we respond to. And for some it's running, and some it's swimming and Pilates, or aerobics, dancing, whatever that is. But I think as humans we need it. It's so important. Everyone I've talked to in this podcast talks about the importance in one way or another, and that they've noticed it if they're not doing it, that they feel the difference. And then tell us about your piloting, because over the years you've invited me in your plane very politely. I've declined. I've been like, I don't think it's my cup of tea, but I love to hear about it. And tell us your husband's thoughts as well. I love the stories you tell about him.
Yes, I'm flying on my own because my partner, he said it's not my universe at all. He's stressed out, even if I think he's not afraid with me, but it's not. He says I like to have the feet on the ground. But I don't. Personally, I don't. Every time I drive, I get lost in the streets. I take the wrong motorway. But in the plane, it's straightforward. It's so it's. I love flying. It was my actually when I was a kid with my imaginary friend. I wanted to be an adventurer. It was my,
Yeah.
it was my my dream career to be an adventurer, and I was reading novels about girls who were sailing. So I wanted to sail, but unfortunately, I was so seasick that I gave up. I thought it's I will never be able to sail. It's terrible. So I thought, but a bit later, flying. And actually, a friend of mine took me in a little plane, and I was seasick again. But this time I said no. If you want to be an adventurer, it will be in the air, and you will, overcome this handicap that I still have. And so, the more I flew, the more I loved it, I understand the earth, and I understand life much better when I'm flying. I understand geography. I understand, climate. And people who fly, even, of course, they're a bit responsible for some pollution, of course, but they love nature, actually. They love the sky. They love the purity of the sky. And when we have to land because it's our destination, or because we don't have any more endurance, it's always sad. Like living a dream. And I've been flying now for almost 40 years because I started a long time ago. So I'm an old pilot. When I have to stop flying, I will stop living. It's something I can't figure it out. So I have to fly the more because, as growing older, it's like a countdown. So, maybe someday, because we have to have a medical certificate, if I can't have it for any reason, I want to fly I want to enjoy life to the fullest, and it increased after the illness, because that was the day I realized maybe it would not be eternal, it will not be
I think I felt
everlasting.
the same.
Exactly. You felt the same?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I suddenly realized, I'm not going to live forever. And it's funny because you know that, but it brings it home to you, and you go,
Yes.
hold on, I really am not going to live forever.
And so
Yeah,
did you find your priorities?
Yeah, I think absolutely I did. Yeah, for me, it's with my, I think like just enjoying my life in a way, appreciating my husband and my children and my job, and this podcast, this One Precious Life podcast, came partly out of that because it was something I always wanted to do. So it's, as you say, it's doing more, not less, in some ways, but on the other hand, it's also saying no to the things that I realize I have one precious life. Do I want to be doing this in my one precious life? Just back to your plane, because I remember you told me you were playing. So we always think of people with planes as being kind of very wealthy people with this, private jet. But the way you've described, and I've seen pictures of your plane, it's an old rattly plane, isn't it? It's not like a comfortable.
If you ask my partner, it will say, "Oh, it's stinky, it's uncomfortable, and you always land not exactly the place where you would like to be." For instance, the dream hotel where when he wants to be. Oh, bad luck! There is no small airport near that. I always go to small airport, and I take the hotel that is nearby, and it's hotel for pilots who could sleep in their planes. So and who want to be in their planes as soon as possible the next morning. So. So my side is, my plane is fast. It's, of course, it's not young, of course, but it's very well maintained. The noise is wonderful. It's music to my ears. It does not stink because the smell of oil and fuel is delicious.
I think it's all relative, isn't it?
It's all relative. And I have another friend who loves this plane. She said, "Oh, it's so comfortable, and you see so many things." So it's a matter of
perspective,
interpretation. Yes.
If there's one thing you could guarantee about the future, what would it be?
I would like to guarantee my sense of humor.
Ah, interesting. Okay, I love
Yes.
this.
Never taking me or my life too seriously. Sometimes I think of myself as a parody of myself. I would like that to continue, never to take myself too seriously.
Yeah.
Only when I do, when I do my work for the wit or for the beagles,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
serious. But
Yeah.
myself, I'm not a serious person.
So, just to wrap up, it's your 100th birthday and someone is giving a speech about your life. And I'd love to know what are some of the things you'd hope that they might say.
I think what I would love them to say is that I cheer them up. That I always cheer them up, being a dog or a human being. My real happiness is when I see people that are a bit low in their mood, and to cheer them up and see them smile and see them enjoy what they are and believe in themselves.
If you had one piece of wisdom for others, what would it be?
When you can do something, do it. Never be afraid. When you can do it, do it. But, very humbly, this is a lesson I would like to give or, to transmit. But once my little niece, she was 3, and my sister told me, you're not afraid of anything. And I have the impression she's a bit afraid. She never dares to do things. And what I learned from her, because I said, okay, I'm going to speak to her. So I took her, she was 3, and I said, Eola, look at you in the mirror and say, I am Eola, and I'm not afraid of anything. And say it 3 times, I'm Eola, I'm not afraid of anything. And she looked at me and she said, but yes, I'm afraid. So that was the lesson. You're allowed to be afraid. I learned from a 3-year-old girl, yes, you're allowed to be afraid. So that was the last humoristic touch I will give you. Never be afraid, but never admit you're allowed to be afraid. Only when a 3-year-old girl tells it to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Virginia. You've been so
thank
wonderful.
you, Vasha, because this one precious life, you opened, a new window to me with this title. I never thought of it like that, and the word precious is wonderful. And through this podcast, I think I expressed plenty of things that I never told myself.